So from my end, it's been very busy. Lots of troubleshooting, bug fixing with a customer. They are really pushing the envelope of Elsa. So there's been a lot of improvements and bug fixes that's been made in terms of stabilization as well, memory optimization. You've seen the PR where we
Mhm.
essentially reduce the size of workflow instance document. So those are actually exciting updates for Elsa 3.1, which is slated to be released sometime in March. So tomorrow it will be the 1st of March. We won't release anything tomorrow, but we are going to start looking into just looking at the milestone, do some grooming, see
Mhm.
if there's anything else we really want included as part of 3.1, and make a plan for that.
And did you succeed to create some metrics on the performance on what was the different gain with the PR?
So I didn't do the metrics myself, but a customer they did it. But they have specific setup, and they have certain thresholds that they need to fit within. So
Mhm.
unfortunately I don't have those numbers. But
Okay.
they before the changes they weren't making it. It was gonna so they basically are gonna use they're using Elsa to migrate or transform a whole bunch of data, and they have to do it within 2 days or something like that for a big customer of theirs. But Elsa wasn't succeeding. It was too slow. And
Mhm.
the big issue was, they are passing through the workflow a large JSON object, and well, relatively large in the sense of maybe 10 kilobytes.
Mhm.
But this data it's being logged everywhere. So for every output, it's stored as part of the execution records, as part of the output of those records. So it's duplicated a lot. So it added up real quickly. So you would end up with workflow instances of 10 megabytes on occasion. Many of those would be 10 megabytes. So that would increase costs. But the worst part was the performance degradation that it would give. So anyway, we fixed that, and now they are able to run through the process much faster. Like in I think 3 hours or so, when they did a batch of those records that they had to process, it came down to 2 or 3 minutes or so. And you have to
Ah.
imagine these are like 1,000 records, but their process, it's not a simple workflow. They have many levels of nesting in there, from starting from the main workflow. They call into a sub workflow, which calls into sub workflow, and each layer, each workflow at each level is very complicated, and it makes API calls. So it touched upon many things, including backend APIs that they provide to the system themselves, which also had to be optimized. So it was a pretty big endeavor, but a big culprit or big contributor to the slowness was this huge data accumulation from within Elsa itself. So, but
Okay.
that's looking much better now, and well, we're not done yet. The next step would be I mentioned this payload that travels through the workflow. Instead of passing this JSON blob, we are working on a design that mimics what Azure Data Factory does,
Mhm.
where you have data sets.
With the connection and data
Exactly.
set. Okay.
Yeah, the thing that we talked about. Yeah. So
And everything you talk about performance was already present in the code in the main branch.
yeah, everything. Yes, exactly. That's all been merged into the main brand. So it's part of the 3.1 preview packages.
Okay.
Yeah, and it does not yet include your PR, where you have the option of choosing what to include and not include into the log. But yeah, that needs a little bit more time for review. I'm a little bit careful with merging it at this point, because this customer that I referred to, they they're in a critical states for a delivery to their customers. So I want to not just the code. The code looks great, by the way, but also the functionality, making sure everything works okay. And
Okay.
I also want to present it to this customer to gauge their to get any feedback from them, to see if they have any feedback on it. and that we may or may not incorporate.
Okay.
Yeah. So I didn't prepare any agenda for this session. It's been really crazy hectic for the past more than a couple of weeks, and I wasn't sure I was going to do this meeting, but as you mentioned, there is a lot of things to discuss. Yeah, maybe you have some other topics you would like to go over, or we can just go over the commits and see if we find anything interesting.
One topics was the idea of the affinity. I see that you've done something to be able to send a message to specific instance of Elsa or something like I'm not sure.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so coworker, I think Raymond, I know that Raymond, he is a coworker. He did a contribution which has something to do with application instances, which has more to do with, imagine you are hosting Elsa in a cluster and you have set up a service bus, and when an Elsa node wants to publish an event, like so here we are talking about a pub sub setup, and what we want to do, we want to share this let's call it a distributed event across all of the Elsa instances in the cluster, and this will work depending on your underlying transport. So maybe we are using mass transit and we are using as a service bus. So under the hood, what mass transit does, it sends this message to a topic, which is which has subscribers, and then there's a queue for each instance subscribed to this topic. The problem is when a pod we're talking about Kubernetes here, when a pod is killed or maybe dies because of memory exhaustion or for whatever reason it just goes out of memory, it will not necessarily, if it's not a clean stop, then it will not delete the subscription. So you will have a phantom subscription. And this is a problem because as other application instances keep publishing these events, these distributed events, the subscription will be collecting those messages, but they will not be processed because the pod that created this, for which the subscription was created, is no longer there. So you can imagine it quickly accumulating all of the messages until it reaches a certain limit, and then all calls to the API, to the as a service bus API, will start failing. So to that end, to solve this, first thing we wanted to do is to be in control of the name of the subscription and the queue being created, so that it's deterministic, and this is where the application instance name comes into play. So it's not so much that it has to do with affinity or having the ability to communicate to a specific node in the cluster. It's more around handling those orphaned subscriptions.
Okay.
Yeah. So let me just pull up the repo, and maybe we can take a look at the commit history to see if we see anything interesting. By the way, if you have other subjects you want to discuss, please go ahead and mention them.
Not for now. Just but we already discussed on this. Let me know as soon as you have seen something on my PR with your client, and
Yeah,
it will be good
absolutely.
for me. And on my side, I have a custom CI to be able to get the latest version of the different mainstream and my specific PR, so I can get all the latest code with my modification. So it's good, but I want to be on the same stream as the official release.
Yeah, that makes sense. And on that note, I did make a little enhancement that I will show, and you might be benefiting from it as well. You mentioned you have your own CI, but maybe with this change you don't need to maintain that. Let me explain. So the package is YAML here. It's been changed as follows. So it will, of course, still listen for push events. So it gets triggered whenever we push to one of these branches. And then what it's going to do, it's going to generate a package name based on the package prefix, which we have here, which is based on the
name of the
branch, as you can see here.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So if the brand's name is feature / my awesome feature, then the package prefix will be my awesome feature. So it will strip whatever comes before the slash, unless it's main. If it's main, then it just becomes a preview package. So with this, if you create a branch on the repo called feature / output logging configuration, for example, then it would generate, every time you do a push to that branch, it would generate packages for you. So then the CI is already handled for you.
Okay.
Of course, if you want to take advantage of this, you need to copy this for the contents of package YAML into the version on your brands, because your brands currently doesn't have this.
Yeah, because I need to change the name. I think.
Yeah, let's see. So here we have pull requests.
But the idea is also to be able to get maybe other enhancements that are not already merged into main, because this is really good. But if we have 3 different enhancements, we will have 3 different package.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, they are isolated from each other. You would have to create yet another branch and then merge everything into that branch. That is true. So these are approved. Yeah, it's just we need to resolve these conflicts, and I need to.
Yeah, sometime I go on the PR and
Yeah.
we push with the main.
Yeah, makes sense. So this is the enhancement. Yeah. So we should be seeing log bracket configuration packages if this is something you would want to test in isolation. Well, after, of course, we update the packages YAML in this branch. But I'm hoping to get this merged soon and as part of the 3.1 milestone.
Yeah. And the idea is then to be able to merge the pair on Studio, and it will be good. The one thing I don't really test is programmatic workflow. I've done a lot of tests using the designer and the configuration of the persistence using the designers that will add some custom properties on the JSON definition, and it seems to work, because I have some workflows that work every day with and without logging, and with also the compression.
Oh yeah.
Because I've merged the two things. So but I don't have test any programmatic workflow where.
Yeah, that's a good point. We should also test that. I will take it upon me to see what the story would look like when using programmatic workflows.
But it should be just a matter of a default value, because I assume I use a dictionary of custom properties. So if the value is not present, I should take the upper value by a hierarchy, and we just have to use the good base value, and I think I have defined the base value as include data. So if nothing is configured, it's transparent for the user.
Yeah, makes perfect sense. Do you want to, if not too inconvenient, do you want to demonstrate this PR, this feature?
Can I do this? Maybe I will check if I can. Let me start just the project for the server. I am on the good branch. I will check the studio.
Hey, I completely missed this PR. Features input descriptor read only.
Yeah. I just see it on my Git extension, because I try to create a form with value only to display for the customer, because when I commit a workflow, I call an API, I create some element of on a service bus, and I need some value to be included in the properties of the activities. But I don't want the user to be able to change this value and just display it. We don't have any tabs with advanced properties like in Elsa 2.
Yeah. Yeah, not yet anyways.
So maybe I will think about this. And I see that even if we use the read-only properties on the read-only attributes on the properties, nothing was done on the UI, and when it works, everything in the forms was read-only.
Yeah.
So I have to dig and dig into the CSS.
And you fix it, right? That's this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. All of this worked just for these two files, but that's nice. I just merged it, so I hope it works.
Just checking what was the best sample to test this.
You let me know, yeah, when you're ready to share your screen.
Yeah. I just restore package.
Yeah. No rush. Just making sure we weren't in a deadlock waiting for it to learn.
I don't have the same folder hierarchy, so I need to change the project reference to the Elsa API client CS project. I don't really understand this issue.
Which one?
Can't run project core or non-core.
Oh yeah, so I just saw this one. It's pretty old, or a few months old. But I suspect that maybe either the server that this one is trying to connect to isn't running, or it's running but it wasn't configured with the cores. That's when you would get this error. Course request did not succeed. But it could also be due to an internal server error. Then it exposes as this. But yeah, it's hard to say without having a look at the console output of the server itself. So maybe this will help. By the way, whenever it is running and you're ready, you can just start sharing your screen.
Okay, I think I have some inconsistency in my different branch, because he searched for a timestamp filter operator. I think it's new, but I changed my branch, so I don't understand why is it present in here. Maybe I will try to refresh with main. I'm sorry, my Elsa Studio doesn't compile because there is different properties operators that does not exist, and I don't know why. There is some change in the workflow instance list that Razor file, and I don't think to the latest version, but I merge main into my branch, but it's change of the instance list that are there. But which add workflow instance list filter. Yes, okay. It's because of my client.
Oh, Jay, I'm sorry. I was muted. I was saying things, but I just wanted to offer, if you need a little bit more time, then we can also do it next week if you want.
Yes, I will, because that's always the same issue with the API client project.
Oh yeah, we talked about that one. Yeah.
Yes, because in the I have merged main into my branch, so I have new enum and a new element of the Elsa API client library, but they are not present on my server side. So okay.
Yeah, no worries.
So I will merge all of this, and I will prepare a demo for next week.
That would be wonderful. And whenever you think that your PR is ready for review and merge, feel free to publish it.
Yeah, okay.
I will not merge, of course, when it's drafts.
Okay, yes, but okay. Okay, but we have to validate the server side before. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's great.
Yeah. Nice.
Do you have some thought on the HTTP expose activities, the HTTP endpoint? We always have the issue of for me the performance of a workflow exposed by HTTP.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about that, just from my understanding.
I
And
don't
while we
know
do that,
if you have any client, any customer that use a lot of HTTP endpoint.
yes, that same customer that has been doing the performance tests, they use a lot of HTTP endpoints for their workflow. So they expose APIs through Elsa Workflows, and they their complaint is that when a workflow is exposed as an HTTP endpoint and it executes, then before they receive the HTTP response, the entire workflow first completes. So it executes all of the steps, and then after it's completed, so also the workflow instance is saved back into the database. Only after those actions will the response be made available to the client. That's their complaint. Is that the same as your complaint, or is it different? Okay.
That's the same.
Yeah. Then I got some good news, because they have this issue too, and they want to sponsor a fix. So I think it's planned for this or the next sprint, or sometime soon. So
Okay.
we're gonna fix that, and we have a couple of ideas to as part of that requirement or a related requirement. What they also want to be able to do is to kick off a workflow, but then have the workflow resume in the background. So they want to be able to initiate the workflow through an HTTP request, then maybe do some initial logic, write back a response, but then continue in the background. So basically having, as if you would put in a little delay activity, for example, that would then suspend the workflow. The response will be flushed to the client, and then 1 second later, the workflow would resume in the background. But we want to be able to do this without resorting to using a delay.
So this scenario is like a fire and forget, where we just want to have an acknowledgement of okay, you have started a new workflow. I will work on it, but that's all. It's that.
Interesting. Yeah. So that's like, so when we look at the REST API endpoints of Elsa, we have an execute endpoint and a dispatch endpoint, and the execute behaves as if you expose that workflow through HTTP endpoint activity, and the dispatch endpoint that behaves as you just described. So it receives the request and then schedules a message, and once that message is scheduled or queued, it immediately responds with an acknowledgement response that it's received the request. Optionally, provides the workflow instance which it generates upfront, and then the workflow executes in the background. So I need to think about this, but maybe, yeah, well, either we can configure the HTTP endpoint with this behavior. Maybe that would be the easiest, right? Where you set some sort of checkpoint, some checkbox saying, I don't know, execute workflow asynchronously, but then using better wording, and then it has the behavior that you mentioned. That could be something. Alternatively, we would have, some sort of dispatch API endpoint activity or HTTP endpoint activity, but that might be a lot of code duplication for no good reason. So, well, I will give this some thought. So that's good input that you offered.
And I think the way to upgrade performance on HTTP endpoint is to be able to just run the different activity on one hand and respond as soon as we can. It could be at the end of the workflow with an HTTP response, or at another moment in the workflow, and be sure that every storage element, storage processing are done after or on other process. Anything else? That's the way you think?
Yeah. So if I understand correctly, you're proposing that, yes. So let's say we have an HTTP endpoint activity on a workflow, and then it will of course just execute all of the steps until it reaches either the end or some blocking activity, and there's no more work to be done. Then currently what happens, the workflow instance gets saved, some events get published, some related handlers will do their thing, like bookmarks will be indexed. So there's little bit of processing that happens after a workflow executed, and then the response is received. And you're proposing maybe we can, before we start saving the workflow state and all the other stuff that it's doing, we do that separately, maybe asynchronously in some different thread, so that the response gets flushed quicker. And yeah, might be possible. The first thing I would propose we do is do a little bit of profiling to see, okay, how much extra time does it typically take between the time the last activity executed, and of course then the HTTP and the saving of the workflow instance, because maybe there's some optimizations we can make there. My concern with doing those things like persistence asynchronously from a different thread is what happens if that fails. Then the client will already have received a response, and they think, okay, everything executed correctly, but maybe something failed. And currently, when the persistence step fails, then you would just get an internal server error or something like that. That's my only concern when switching that to the background.
Yeah, I understand, but I think a lot about this, but it's always a matter for what we want, and because if the caller have a response, it means that everything that concern his request is done correctly.
Yeah, this is true.
And one thing I have see, I don't know if it is about my development environment or anything else, is sometime I see that if I make a lot of call on Elsa sequentially, maybe I will have a garbage collector or anything else that will literally keep my performance and block the call. I try to run some .memory, .traces, and any software like that, but I really a dump in this kind of usage. So I just test using my fiddler and some automatic testing, and I just see this sometime. There is some luck, and I share with you a lot of time ago a screen with open telemetry when we see that all the activities execute fast, but there is some we have a workflow that with a duration of 1.2 seconds, for example, but the first activity start at 1 second. So there is a 1 second of delay somewhere. I don't know why, and I don't really know how to dig into this.
Yeah, I remember that. I still need to look into that. So that's not like it executes slowly at the end, but it takes a long time before it gets to the first activity being executed. Yeah. Did you create an issue for that by any chance? So we don't get.
I think I created an issue, and I mentioned this, and you mentioned me last week on this issue. I know I don't have create an issue on this specific case of latency. Just the
Yeah, you did mention this on Discord.
yes, it's HTTP endpoint performance threshold. Yeah.
There you go. Huh.
But I don't really define the.
Oh yeah, not yeah. I see. Yeah, okay.
This is
more
on
of
the end, not on the beginning. But we have a thread on Discord.
Yeah, yeah.
About this.
If you don't mind, could you create an issue for the beginning of the workflow? Because then I can plan for more investigation, because now I completely forgot about the Discord conversation.
I will retrieve my branch, retest it, and validate and create the issue with the screenshot, etc.
That would be so awesome. Yeah, then we're gonna look into it.
And for me, it's really an issue because I expose a lot behind an API gateway, some of the workflow, and I want to be able to use Elsa like I can use just an ASP.NET controller.
Yep.
And have the same kind of performance.
Yeah. No, that is the entire, well, not the entire goal, but that's a big part of the purpose of the HTTP endpoint, is to have a nice alternative to creating controllers, but using Elsa. Obviously, it needs to be as performance as a regular controller. So definitely, we want to look into this. And also, the same customer that I mentioned, as I said, it uses a lot of those HTTP endpoints, so they're gonna benefit from this as well. And probably they would be very interested in getting this sorted soon.
Do you think it could be possible, maybe more in private, to just exchange information about the configuration of Elsa for your customer in kind of architecture and type of virtual machine, etc.
Definitely. Yeah.
Just curious about this.
Yeah, I think that's gonna be. I think they will be open to that. Let me talk to them and, and see if we can set up a call between the three of us.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, that should be good.
Oh, great. So again, a lot of work for the next week.
Lots of work. There's not just for next week. There's I don't know if we look at the issues. So there's oh, there's a lot of issues, but I'm gonna do a little grooming session with Raymond, who's a coworker.
Mhm.
We're gonna see what we can do to clean this up a little bit. Some of these are no longer relevant. Some of because maybe we don't want to do them, or maybe they have been solved differently, or just have been solved. So yeah, I'm gonna do a little bit of grooming. And interestingly enough, the very first issue that's the first issue that's still open, but let me put it this way, is BPMN support. And the same customer, they're very, very interested in getting BPMN support. So they're gonna sponsor this implementation.
Mm-hmm.
So this one is staying. That's basically the message. This one will be staying, and the rest we will see what happens to them.
And do you plan to maybe just review the different issue of the 3.1 milestone?
Yeah, we're probably gonna move a lot of these out, because if you look at the list, it's very big, and I don't think we're gonna be able to work on these with just 1 month. And we want to release all of the updates that we have now as part of 3.1. And that's already a lot that went in. Already 63 issues have been closed as part of this milestone. Yeah, so it's already a big milestone. So
Yeah.
we're gonna clean this up and see what we keep, and decide on a release date for March. Workflow cancellation has been implemented by Raymond, so I just want to confirm with him that it covers the case that is described here.
Mhm.
This is related, cancel running workflows. Compensation is not going to happen. Not for this milestone, I mean. Probably this one, not either. Multi-tenancy
Yeah.
is work in progress, so that's not going to happen for this release. This is related. Time zone support, that's going to happen soon, but that's not going to make it for this release because we have yet to start. So yeah, as I said, most of these will be moved out.
Okay.
Is there anything you would like to see as part of 3.1, or if not 3.1, 3.2?
No, on my side, it's just the storage of the log for the
Yeah,
3.1, if
yeah,
possible,
exactly. Yeah,
and for the other, not now, and maybe sometime I look at the different issue to see if I can help on something.
yeah, that's
But
awesome.
I don't know what I don't really know what is a Prio 1. I see what is Prio low, but just have
Yeah,
to check what could be a high priority.
yeah, sure. That I appreciate that, and maybe we can do something. We also talked about the projects here, so we have the Elsa 3 big project board here. But
Mm.
we also talked internally about maybe doing smaller boards like sprint boards, so we can
Mhm.
have better focus on short-term deliveries and make it visible to the community as well to see what we're working on and what priority. And that should also help people like yourself, right? If you want to pick something up, but it's unclear what our priorities are, then it's hard to maybe pick one. Of course, you should always pick something that's interesting to you or important to you, because even if it's not a priority for us right now, it might be a priority in the future. And if somebody already fixed something, that's always helpful. Yeah, and if you are looking for something, I can always help you find something that is useful short term in case you get bored, Jay. That's what I thought. Okay. Uh, yeah, so then did that cover everything that you want to talk about?
Yeah, yes, that's good.
Awesome. All right, then thanks for being here, and I'll catch you on the next one.
Yeah, see you.
All right, see
Bye.
you. Bye bye.